message, please go ahead and use the question and answer box on the right-hand side, or you can simply use the chat option as well. That'll be throughout the webinar, and at the end we'll take some questions. So if you have any questions during, if you throw that in, we'll try to address them at the end. I always like to put up our mission statement here. I believe that it reflects well on WCI, and you kind of know where we're coming from when you partner up with us. Just a little background about WCI Consulting. I'll let you read through it. We are excited that we just moved into a new office. It gives us a lot more room. With the amount of consultants that we now have, we're starting to get a little crowded in the old space. So our office is in far north Dallas, or Plano area, and we're really excited about it. And so we're busy showing it off regularly. Okay, well, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Kreider, and he is going to be presenting on how you can animate a dashboard.
Thank you, Trent. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about using Dashboard Designer 2010. This is a 4.0 BusinessObjects product to provide some splash to your dashboards. Now, most of the stuff that we want to do with dashboards we can usually do in Webby, but there are some very interesting things that we can do in Dashboard Designer, such as animating a dashboard. So what we're looking at right here is half of a dashboard that we've put together. What we're doing here is we're pulling back city and state sales revenue data from the eFashion database. You can see that the straight data pulls are happening by city and then by state. Now, to animate this dashboard, what we're going to do is we're going to use a timer to change a value and then use that value to build a concatenated VLOOKUP. So, for example, you can see in all these columns right here, we've concatenated, in this case, the period along with the city so that we can use that in our VLOOKUP. And the same thing for state. Now, in our common database, we have three major sections. First off, in orange, as you can see, is the timer. We're using a play control, which is a component in Dashboard Designer to keep track of time. And then we're also using this if function, looking at these periods right here to kind of determine when we're going to move the data or change the data. In this beige color here, what we have is we've built the same concatenated values that we have in our by city and by state sheets so that we can use this as a VLOOKUP. And we've also used green to indicate what our hard-coded values are. And then over on this right-hand side here, we have a number of different components that we're going to talk about, including legends, bar charts, and a whole number of things. So this is kind of the Excel, and essentially what this is doing is just building a series of VLOOKUPs to go ahead and move it in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show a pie chart that has been animated using this timer function. Now here we see our play control. This allows us to back up, pause, and move forward along a time. We also have two buttons. One is state and one is store, so that we can toggle between the two. And we also have four values here that we're going to use in our map, indicating where the heat maps are. And then we have this central pie graph right here. So if we preview this, we can see that there's nothing here. We're going to place a map here to do it by state. But you can see that right now the play function is moving forward, and we're alternating through the periods. So if we change it to store, we see that it needs to play. We're going to do those all by hiding. And then you can also see the values here are changing as we progress throughout the entire thing, through the entire data set right here. Okay, and then you can hover over this as well. So we're going to do something very similar to this, but we're also going to do it with a state. Now, if you notice that when we hit store, we have a wipe over function on this pie chart. So we're also going to talk about how to animate entries as well. So if you're using PowerPoint, this would be something very similar to that. So first, let's talk about how to animate an individual icon. So right here, we're going to look on pie chart, and we're going to look at the different components, right? So we're pulling the values back from our table sheet. And then also on behavior, we're going to do enable data animation, and we're going to wipe right over 3 seconds. And then also we need to determine when to hide it and when not to hide it. So we're using these components down here. These push buttons here are placing text into our state and store cell here. So when this changes, we're going to determine when we hide everything. And one of the things that we're often asked about is maps. Dashboard Designer has a number of different maps that are available, mostly by region or by country. You see Asia Pacific, Australia, most of the European countries, and a lot of the Asia Pacific countries are here. I'm most interested in the United States, so we're going to go ahead and pull the United States continental. If we had data from Alaska or Hawaii, we would use this USA one here as well. We're just going to place this here. And we're going to make it approximately the same size as our pie chart so that it appears to the user as if they're right on top of each other. And then we're going to open up the continental values. It's going to ask for region keys. Each one of these values here is situated by a certain region, and you can look at that by right here. But I have my own specific region keys. I'm going to have values only for a couple of states. So I'm going to tell it what it is. I'm going to open up region key, and we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, this feature would be useful if you're tracking data by region, so you can put, say, for all the Southeast in the same region, and use that in your columns so that you highlight an entire section right here in one color. We're also going to display data. We're going to choose the data that it's looking up right here. Before we move too much further, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fix these region keys right here. If you don't do anything, then it automatically places them there. So what we're going to do is District of Columbia is DC. Texas is Texas. Delete this. California right here. Florida right here. New York right here. Colorado right here. Illinois right here. And then Massachusetts. So now the map knows what to display and when to display it. What we're also going to do is we're going to set up an insert type of the row. We're going to actually do the source data for the states. We're going to set a destination in our handily looked up cell there already. Now what we want to do is we want to rotate through this information via alerts. So we want it to display different colors when we have different things. So we're going to go to alerts, and we're going to go to enable alerts. And we're going to change our value to match what our four cells here are doing. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down right here. We're going to change the maximum to 320,822. That's the next lowest level. And then we're also going to change this here to 156,866. We're going to change to the minimum, but we're going to add another value so we can kind of add everything. And then we're going to do high values are good because we want higher revenue and not lower revenue. And what we're also going to do is we're going to switch our behavior to animation and effects. We're going to fade in over 2 seconds. Now we also want to set a dynamic visibility so that this state store right here, we only want it to appear when that's 1, which is our state value there. We're going to go ahead and preview this. Okay. Come back here. Oh, and the region keys. We're going to refill in these items here. And then clear these ones right here. Okay. So we can see right here that the information is rotating through. And if we stick to store, we're going to shift back here as well. We can go to state as well. Let's go ahead and go to behavior. Let's increase this fade in time to 1 second. Now what we're going to do is we're going to also copy this and paste it here and shrink the size of it right here. And then we're going to add another chart. We're going to add a column chart here. I'm going to get rid of this information right here. We're going to call this, they've already conveniently had a description of this. Period. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer this range down to my third lookup here, right here. So what's going to happen here is that if the user selects a state from the major graph, what's going to happen is that we're going to see these two different graphs, a smaller version of the same chart, along with a bar chart showing that particular month. And so we're going to go ahead and do by series. We're going to add a series right here. The values are there. Okay. And then we're also going to set the behavior right here. For animation effects, we're going to fade in over 1.5 seconds. We're going to do a dynamic visibility as well. So in the status that we set up right here, this bar chart hide here, I want to change this dynamic visibility as well so that our bar chart right here equals 1 as well. Okay. So what we did here is we simply moved everything around so that we can determine when things appear. I'm going to preview this right here. Okay. Now we have this rotating chart right here. We hit this right here. We have these same values here. And if we switch the graphs, I'm going to do this as well. Or we can select the smaller one right here. And as you see this bottom one right here. And if we click Store, we're going to change all that. So now what we're also going to do is right now we want these to disappear will only appear when the state exists right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come back in. We're going to change this flag as well. So right now it's doing if the state selection equals 0, which means that no state has been selected. We want this to equal 1. So we want to come up to this state store selection right here. And what's going to happen is when we place, when we click on a state selection right here, when this is greater than 1, we're going to make this 3, which is nothing in the two thing in the other dynamic visibilities. So we're going to copy and paste this bar chart hide right here. Right here. Actually, what we're also going to do is we're going to move this down here. We're simply going to add another button. Under single values, under other. We're going to do a push button, and we're going to show this. We're going to call this hide. Come down here and add hide. We're going to do, we're going to call this 3 right here. I'm going to select common. We're going to place it in the cell right here as a destination. And then here we're going to change it from L5 when equals state. And then we're going to do another if statement. If L5 equals 2, then store else breakdown. Okay. And then we're going to preview this. All right, and then if we do this, we're going to hide the 2 previous. You can see the bottom chart is showing. And then what we can do is hide, and so that way we can see all that as well. Now finally, what we're going to do so that we can get back to this, we're going to say state we're actually going to switch this hide to a toggle switch. Right here. What do you do? 3 and 4, and 3 and 1, and do hide and unhide. Check our values here. The source data right here, and our destination of L5. Okay, if we do hide, we can see everything. We can do unhide and move that around as well. So as you can see, with Dashboard Designer, there is some give and take every single time that you want to move something around or change a single value. But this way, with a little bit of work, what you can do is you can easily create an animated dashboard that is fully functional and that continues to build on itself so that your users have an animated look as they're looking. You can embed this in an iframe in a Webby document, or you can serve it on your web server. Anywhere essentially that you can do a Flash document, you can display this as well. That means any web server or any external application that you may use. If you have any further questions, please feel free to give us send us an email, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Trent.
Hi, Andrew. We've got one question here. It is exactly, would you be able to do this, is it just come in the basic Business Object 4.0 package, or?
This comes with Edge. Excelsius comes with Edge, at least a sample version of it. I believe you have to have a separate license for it, though.
Okay, great. And we are running a little bit long on time. Typically, we try to keep this around 20 minutes or so. So I will go ahead and close questions for right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. I'm going to show you our email addresses right now. And here we go. And I believe, there we go. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. If you have any questions about anything else within the business intelligence, business objects realm, we'd be happy to help as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining today, and we'll see you.